Hey YouTube nerds, I'm your host Joss. Welcome back to InformOverload. We make the news fun, we hit you with that hot gossip, and we even make scary top 10 lists that will haunt your dreams. If you like what we do, give the IO team a follow on social media. Our links are down below, and hang out until the end of the video because we now give you guys some new bonus content. Today we are doing a deep dive into some of the scariest and weirdest cults to ever exist. Cults have been around for a long time, and some of them still remain today. Like you guys. You guys have your potato cult with the potato queen as your leader. I'm not in that cult. I got my own pickle cult. Let's jump into a top 10 list of scary cults you won't believe exist. Starting off our list, number 10 is the Brethren, also known as Body of Christ or Garbage Eaters. No, that's not a joke. They were given that nickname after learning that their group eats from the garbage cans. The cult is an offshoot of the Jesus movement from the 70s, where they avoid worldly possessions to purify themselves for the end of the world they believe is coming. Brethren members avoid bathing, medical treatment, and eat from the trash. They do odd jobs to survive, and anything they do make goes right to the group. There is no such thing as personal income. Dancing and laughing is also forbidden until the return of Jesus, and they must not communicate with family or have any kind of contact with the opposite sex. Members who have left the group have come forward saying they were never allowed to look in mirrors, watch TV, or go out in public. The group is convinced they are the chosen children of God. The founder, Jim Roberts, died in 2015. The new group leader is still unclear, but the group still exists. Up next, number 9 is the Russian Doomsday cult. It made headlines on USA Today back in November 2007, reading, "Russian Doomsday cult coaxed out of the cave." It was one of the most chilling headlines to read at the time, and the pictures made it that much more surreal. There was a cave in a frozen wooded area near the Volga River where officials had to lure dozens of people from underground who were hiding from the apocalypse they believed was coming in spring 2008. The group's leader had not joined them in this hideout. What a great leader. Most of the members found were women and included children as young as 18 months. The leader was a self-declared prophet from the true Russian Orthodox Church who blessed his followers before sending them into the cave. What a nice man. No one was allowed to watch television, use devices, handle money, or anything in terms of regular everyday life. The only reason the group was ever found was because 2 members had died and were left decomposing in the enclosed space underground. So the 9 survivors decided that they had to leave the cave or they would take in the toxic fumes. The Russian Orthodox Church practices still remain today, but their leader was charged and had to stand trial after being diagnosed with a mental illness. Okay, and at number 8 is the Matamoros human sacrifice cult. Just the title is enough for me to know what it is, and that is a big no from me. The cult came to surface back in March 1989 after a Texas student named Mark Kilroy went missing while he was on spring break. He ventured across the border to Mexico to hit up some bars, then vanished without a trace. 4 weeks later it was reported that he was found, but it was his brain that was found first. This one is not easy on the stomach, you guys. They found it in a black cauldron and it had been boiled in with blood over an open fire and some other human bones. They learned that his death and dismemberment was a service of religion by a cult that was created by an American marijuana smuggler, Adolfo Constanzo, that was operating out of Mexico. The drug smugglers believed that human sacrifice would somehow magically protect them from being caught by the police because Adolfo convinced them that he was a prophet from evil and vowed himself to Satan. During the investigation, they dug up a dozen of different dismembered bodies, and members were arrested and charged with multiple crimes, including drug charges and of course homicide. The killing shack, where the bodies were tortured, was burned down by law enforcement after being purged of its black magic spirits in a special ceremony. You know, just had to be safe. Swiping the number 7 spot is a cult called Heaven's Gate. This cult was formed around a solar event that happened back in 1977. An unusually bright comet named Hale-Bopp blazed through the night sky, which was a thrill for astronomers to see. But it also caused a very unexpected tragedy, mass suicide tied to the cosmic beliefs. The cult is called Heaven's Gate and was located in Rancho Santa Fe in a California mansion. 39 people died in the massive suicide, including the leader and prophet Marshall Applewhite. They believed that the Hale-Bopp comet would bring a UFO and would rescue them and bring them to space before the rest of the world would end. The members ingested a poisonous mixture and alcohol, and their bodies slowly shut down over time. They had tied plastic bags around their heads in confidence that they were going to be saved. Heaven's Gate had a website that shared its philosophy with the outside world, and it still exists today. Go look it up. Do it. Go look it up. It's crazy. Coming in number 6 is the People's Temple. The cult goes by the full name of the People's Temple of the Disciples of Christ and was founded by Jim Jones in Indiana back in 1955. He taught a mix of Christianity, socialism, and communism with an emphasis on racial equality. He ended up attracting several thousand followers through his teachings. The US media started to scrutinize the group and they fled to Guyana, where they had created a population that they called Jonestown. By By 1978, there were about 900 people living in the population. Some members started to warn the American media that they had been rehearsing a mass suicide at Jonestown. That is when the Congressman Leo Ryan flew into Jonestown to investigate, and he was shot to death along with 3 other journalists. Not long after, Jim Jones had his followers kill themselves by drinking a cyanide-laced drink. More than 900 people were found dead, including Jim Jones himself. Halfway through the list, number 5 is the Order of the Solar Temple. The cult was formed in 1984 by 2 men named Jocelyn D. Mambro and Luc Journet, and had followers in various countries including France, Switzerland, and Canada. I'm disappointed in Canada. The group was known to be paranoid after Luc delivered lectures warning them the world was going to have an environmental apocalypse. You needed a membership to be a part of the group, which is why it was composed of mostly middle and upper class people, and it grew to have an estimated 400 people. Their headquarters bounced between countries, and they started to take a financial hit during the 90s after being charged for guns and allegations of sexual misconduct. Their biggest belief was that they had to ascend to a different spiritual plane in order to survive the environmental apocalypse and be reborn on a planet that orbits the Sirius called the Dog Star. How would they transport there? Fire. In October 1994, the Solar Temple buildings went up in flames. Some had committed suicide, while others were injected with tranquilizers with plastic bags over their heads. The deaths included both leaders, their wives, and even their children. Moving on to number 4 is the group called 10 Commandments of God. It was a popular movement called Movement for the Restoration of the 10 Commandments of God and was based in Uganda. Members of the group were taught to strictly obey the 10 Commandments and only live through the word of Christ. They were told that Jesus and the Virgin Mary were always watching them, and if they didn't obey, they would curse them. It was taught that living out these commandments is the only way that it would help them survive the apocalypse. It was so strict that some members wouldn't even speak because they feared that if they lied in any kind of way, they would break a commandment. Almost 1,000 members were burned in a fire one day, and witnesses say they committed a mass suicide because they believed Virgin Mary would appear on that day. In the 3rd spot on our list is Happy Science. This is an ongoing group that is known to be a mashup of different world religions. It's a Japanese cult that was founded in 1986 by Ryuho Okawa. He believes that he is a human incarnation of a supreme being known as El Cantare, which combines Christ, Buddha, Muhammad, and every other prophet out there basically. He believes that the prophets create a 9-dimensional heaven with him at the head of it all. The group is known to have strange beliefs and behavior. They advocate violent war with China and North Korea and promote a violent Japanese nationalism. Along with other teachings, they also believe in reincarnation and aliens. The group is still going strong and claims to have 12 million members around the world. It somehow has a media presence and also enjoys tax-exempt status in the US. In spot number 2 is the Children of God. This one is known worldwide for being one of the sickest religious cults ever created. It was first founded in Huntington Beach, California back in 1968 by the founder of the movement, David Brant Berg. He was a firm believer that Christians should love as simply as possible and only follow the 1st century church, claiming that all other teachings are fake. Female members were expected to seduce non-member men and recruit them into the group. They called it flirty fishing. The group caused a wild amount of controversy after people learned about the organization practicing sexual abuse on children. The cult members believed in what they call free love, which Berg explained it as, I quote, "Love was sex and it should not be limited by age or relationship status." He wrote letters to the members saying, "God created boys and girls able to have children by about 12 years of age." Many former members have claimed that they were sexually assaulted and abused as kids. Some people who were born into the group later killed themselves, including one of Berg's sons who first murdered his nanny. Berg died in 1984, and since then the group preaches that they are in war of good versus evil. It is unclear how many members the group still has today. Taking the number 1 spot on our list is the NXIVM Group. This one came to surface more recently after actress Allison Mack was charged with being a member of the group. It is known to be a sex cult led by the founder Keith Raniere. He would lure women into the group by marketing it as a self-help organization through his Albany seminar company. The members joining the group were thinking they were joining a female empowerment group that would help them overcome weakness and see their self-worth. Raniere branded some of the women in the group with a symbol resembling his initials, to which some still have the scars from it today. Actress Allison Mack was alleged to be the leader of the group and was recruiting women to have sex with Raniere, and they used naked pictures of them for blackmail. The Times reported that the cult members were branded, used as sex slaves, and then punished by their masters, and if they threatened to leave the group, that is when they were blackmailed blackmailed with their own photos. They were both charged with sex trafficking and forced labor conspiracy. Well, there's our very disturbing yet very interesting list for today. Leave a like if you enjoyed it and share your thoughts with me down below. Let's finish the video off on a more positive vibe. Let's do some comment shoutouts from my last IO video. Jennifer Aniston's first Instagram post has something suspicious in the background. Deathstroke says she's still hot, I don't care. Facts. She is such a babe, she can do whatever drug she wants, really. Sarah N says Friends was one of the least funny shows ever produced. Please don't call the police on me. Chris, hand me my phone. Sarah, you are killing me. I will never look at you this way. Comrade Savage 15 says, so no one told you life was gonna be this way. There's no response for this. I just wanted to sing it for you. I mean, I can sing the rest if you really want. Julia Gallardo says, I like her a lot. Her personality is that of terrific and immaculate for commentaries. Well done. Love this host. Honestly, when I first started reading this, I thought you were talking about Jennifer Aniston. I'm thrilled that you're talking about me. Thank you. Astronomers? What'd I say? Astronomers. That's right. But what did I say? Did I say that? I said it right. That's a big word for me. Astronomer. No, did I say astronomer? No, I did it. What is it? Barbiturates. Why do I gotta say that? A little sweepy swoop. A little swippy swoop. My nose ring. I got a nose ring. Everyone thinks I'm always picking my nose because I'm like, I'd fix it. And it just looks, ew, sicko. But it looks like I'm like, when I'm like flipping it, it looks like I'm picking my nose. On that note, I'm getting out of here. I'm gonna watch some Friends. Speaking of Friends, be a friend and leave a like, comment, and subscribe before you go. I've been your host, Joss. I will see you in a future video.